need a pen. You need to take notes.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the regular City of Prescott council meeting to order. It is Monday, July 25th. It is 6 o'clock. Roll call, Tom?
Here.
John? Here. Dar?
Here.
Pat?
Here.
Bailey?
Here.
And Maureen is not here. So we all stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And there's Maureen. Okay. At this time, public comments. The city will now receive public comments on any issues related to the agenda item. Limited discussion by the council may take place. Okay, hearing none, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. Regular city council meeting from June 27th, regular city council meetings from July 11th, Parks and Public Property Committee meeting from July 18th.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Can I bring anything out? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carried. Thank you. Report of standing committees, finance, we don't have anything. Public Works, next meeting is Monday, August 29th at 5 o'clock. Planning Commission, next meeting is Monday, August 1st at 6 o'clock. And next is Parks and Public Property. We have a resolution 25-22 authorizing the installation of non-motorized boat launch parking only signs along Lake Street. Bailey, you want to take that?
Sure, I can take that one. So the last meeting that we had for the Parks Committee, we had talked about these 3 parking spots, and since we are identifying this as a non-motorized launch, it would be great for us to be able to offer parking for those that want to use it if we're going to offer it as a recreation spot. That's kind of what those spots are already used for now. Just the signage will help us actually enforce that parking. So right now, we don't have a way to do that. So that's essentially what the resolution is about. That's pretty much it.
How soon will the signs go up, Al?
I think we have to order them, and I think Matt was looking at that, but I don't know what the lead time is on signage.
Mike, do you know?
I think we were
The
talking about
signs will
doing
only take a
temporary
couple
signage
weeks.
for right now. Doing some temporary signing until we get the permanent ones.
Probably 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. So we have a resolution 25-22 authorizing the installation of non-motorized boat launch parking signs on Lake Street. Do I have a motion?
I make the motion to approve resolution 2522.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion, a second, for resolution 25-22. Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Committee report from July 18th. Okay, Jane has brought to our attention that if there has been a committee meeting, that the chair of that said committee should be prepared to make a little synopsis of what happened at the meeting. So, like from here on out, after you have a meeting, when it comes time like now to report on it, just give everybody a little synopsis of what you talked about and any issues that occurred, something real quick. But I guess that's something that we need to start doing. So I won't have you do it tonight, Bailey, but moving forward, we need to be prepared just to talk a little bit about your committee.
Okay.
Is that okay with everyone?
Yep.
But
Yeah,
why
that
is
was-
that? I mean, was there an issue?
I think she said there was something in the statute that we were supposed to have been doing that, and I guess we used to do it before, and we haven't done it for a long time. So she brought it up to Matt's attention.
So, for instance, I have an ordinance meeting next month. At the end of that meeting, I would come up with a synopsis on paper and present that to the city
Oh,
clerk.
you can just talk about it. You could
At the
make a
council
note
meeting.
at the council
Okay,
meeting.
all right, I got it.
Any,
Just so everybody is aware of what we did and what was discussed. It doesn't have to be an in-depth, but if there's questions or whatever, just be prepared to answer them.
Now, I'm confused. Was there minutes made of that meeting?
Yes. It was on the
Okay.
consent agenda.
I would assume that that would be considered a synopsis of the meeting.
Right, but Jane wants to have it reported on. We can talk more about it. When Matt gets back at our next meeting, then he can maybe give you a little bit more. I only talked to him a little bit about it.
I think that's helpful because although we read the minutes before we come, because they're on the consent agenda, not everyone in the audience has been able to access the minutes, even though they are on the website.
And I think that, and I don't think people realize the information that's in those minutes when they're presented to council for approval. If you ever go online and look at our meeting minutes for a current meeting, you're going to see the minutes for previous meetings, and there's a lot of information in those, depending on whether it be a council meeting or any of the committee meetings. So they're very helpful.
I would like to see a copy of the state statute referring to this.
We can get that.
Okay.
I mean, I can give a summary if anybody really wants it, if you really want one. So we basically just covered the signs for the parking, and then we also covered the garbage cans down at the boat launch. Those will be going away, because we have too many people dumping. And so it's basically whatever you take in, you're gonna take out. So I think it's gonna make things a little bit easier. We've had mattresses dropped off in there, and we just can't be dealing with that anymore. And honestly, there's maggots at the bottom of that garbage can, because people have thrown all their fish guts in there, so it smells absolutely gross. So that was the other thing we really discussed during the meeting. Those are probably the two highlights.
Are you gonna post something saying that the
Can you
garbage?
go up to
Hang
the
on, sir.
stand?
If you're gonna
Yeah.
talk, you need to come up and identify yourself.
Oh, no. I'm not a resident of Prescott, but I
But
just,
if you're gonna talk, you
Okay.
gotta come up and identify yourself and tell us who you are and what you wanna
Okay.
talk about.
my name is Doug Green, and if you're gonna take the garbage cans away, you should make sure and post it that the people have to take their garbage with them, because otherwise they're just gonna throw their garbage all over, and you're gonna have that problem in, we already have enough problems with people throwing their garbage away anyway and not putting it in the trash can the way that they're supposed to.
Really noted.
So,
Yep. I
Thank
agree.
you.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you, sir.
yep.
Any other discussion? All right, thank you. The next meeting for Parks and Public Property, Wednesday, August 15th at 5 o'clock. We have nothing for license, ordinance. Next meeting, Monday, August 8th at 5 o'clock, I'm sorry. Personnel meeting, Wednesday, August 3rd at 5. So, you have to wait till public comments now, sir.
Okay, good, thank you.
Yep. Okay, so now we're at communication and new business. Public comments. The council will now receive public comments on any issue not related to the agenda. Limited discussion by the city council may take place. However, no action will be taken on any item. This includes receiving a written request or documentation and possible action in the future consideration. Does anybody have any public comments?
My name is April Hubert Green. I'm a resident of Clifton Township and an owner of Goats on the Go River Falls. And we've been contacted by a community member who is interested in grazing with goats on their property near Freedom Park. And at this time, we were informed by Matt that there is no permit required, actually that there were no ordinance in place. And so we just wanted to come as a representative of the grazing community and see what questions that you may have and answer those for you to see if it's something that would be available to a resident within the city this year or possibly next year.
Well, thank you, first of all, for coming to us rather than just doing it.
Absolutely.
This is, somebody's looking to do it on private property
Correct, on private property.
within the
It's-
city limits?
It is within the city limits.
What's
I'm
their
not certain if,
acreage?
I can give you a name. It's Linda Erickson,
Okay.
who contacted us. She owns property adjacent to Freedom Park.
Linda, what's your address?
787
Oh.
Monroe Street.
787 Monroe Street?
Right.
Okay.
I would say the biggest thing is just to make sure the fencing, because we have the railroad on the backside, that was the
Yeah.
big thing. So Matt came to talk to me a little bit about it. I think it's great because we are all about goats, it seems like, at Freedom and some of our parks too. So I would just say to make sure that we have proper fencing on the backside, to make sure they can't get down onto the railroad tracks. Because that would be a no, not a
Did
good
you want
deal.
to come on
But,
up?
yeah, that's pretty much the biggest thing when Matt and I talked, is to make sure the fencing is.
And Bailey, do you think that we need to address this in ordinance here as well?
that's what
And
I'm
is it
saying.
something that we need to look at as far as updating our ordinances?
I think we should chat about it, but I don't know if it would end up being in there, you know what I mean? So I think it's something that we should probably talk about, but I think it's awesome that people are trying to control kind of these, you know, invasive species and using these methods of doing it versus spraying. So I think, yeah, we can talk about it.
That being said, and I'm always the, I guess it's because I work for a city, I think that things can be, not done, you know, not completed properly or not. So I think it's something that we need to discuss to make sure that if it does happen, that it's done safely, it's done respectfully with other neighbors. So I do think we have to have a discussion about it, for sure.
And we are fully insured as well,
Okay.
right?
That should be one of the requirements of the company.
Come on over here.
I have a
Why don't you come on
question.
over too? in case you
Are
have-
they
yes.
only there for a day at a time, right? You herd them up again, or did they stay overnight?
They'll stay overnight typically. Most grazing projects would be completed within 10 business days
Oh.
at most.
Okay.
Most would be a shorter time period.
Does a herder stay with them overnight, or they just are on their own?
They would be on their own, yes. Typically, yes.
They did the same thing with the.
We have 150 goats.
That's cool.
If you look on the Goats on the Go website, they have things that can help cities figure out how to do this so that you guys can have an ordinance for it.
Yeah, we would be happy to help with any questions. Insurances, primary, sometimes double fencing in a highly public area is something that's common. The outer fence would not be electrified, the inside would be. Warning signs, we typically have a warning sign every about 12 or 15 feet, notifying anybody who came to it to let them know that it is electric, and just some other warnings to keep pets away from the fencing, and also to let them know that it's electrified, to avoid feeding, that kind of thing.
Dar, we could use that. Just a piece.
I think another reason why would be that we're allowed chickens and we're allowed dogs, we're allowed cats, but not allowed farm animals per se.
Correct.
That we do have a ordinance that does say that. And I know this isn't a permanent thing,
Right.
but do you contact neighbors to see if that's okay with them?
I do. We got Mendota Heights, we went through this same thing with Mendota Heights. Mendota Heights is doing their first grazing. Here, we got them on the books. They're gonna make a big deal out of it because this is for the public. I mean, this is not for the city.
Yeah.
These are people that are taking the initiative to take care of this buckthorn themselves. And it's important. There's a lot of, what's going on is the buckthorn is taking over our woods. And it's gonna kill out all the big stuff. So you gotta,
Absolutely. I'm
But-
not against it.
Oh, no,
I'm just,
no, no.
making sure, we have to look out for everybody in the city.
Absolutely.
And we just want to do things the right way. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah,
The keeping of animals is usually the issue, and that would be something that may need to be discussed and modified in a set time period, put into place.
how many days is it at Medota Heights that you can have the animals?
I would have to check. They actually have it open for 3 separate grazings for this particular homeowner to allow for just the schedule to book them, but it is a temporary period, and I can get that information to you.
How
if you'd
soon
like.
are we looking at doing this?
Sooner the better. We
The sooner the
have
better.
somebody that is very interested in doing it, and we're
to-
up on Jake's Hill right now with we got about 110 goats up there right now. And I'm sure that if you went and you talked to Peg, she would tell you, go ahead and go take a look at what they're doing. They're amazing animals,
Doing
and
great work.
they do great work.
You have to come up here, man. Please.
Hi, sorry.
That's all right.
No, that's fine. I'm Linda Erickson, and I'm one of the homeowners requesting to have the goats. And my neighbor Charlotte Vick and I are sharing, because we have the ravine, and the buckthorn has gone out of control. And we don't want to clear cut. We don't want to worry about fire. And so the goats take care of everything. I mean, they munch everything, and they get nettles, and what were the other things you were saying, April?
Honeysuckle is another one that tends to be a problem in our area.
And the spiny locusts, and so we have beautiful oak trees that we can maintain in our yard, but the goats are right next door to me at Freedom Park, and we wish we would have been able to kind of piggyback, but to be able to have people here that are local. And I did go out to Seven Sisters to see the goats working, and they were great. They're just busy, and they they do a great job. So I hope if there's anything as homeowners you want us to do, or notify you if the council meeting is enough notification. But we're pretty anxious to get ahead of it if we can.
That's key.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions for
Go
me?
ahead, Pat.
Go ahead.
Okay.
No, I was just gonna say, I mean, we currently don't have an ordinance or anything stopping them from doing that right now.
That is correct.
So they could go ahead
Oh, yeah,
at this point.
yeah.
Well, good. Well, that's very good then.
I'm just clarifying, I want to make sure, that's what I thought I understood, but.
It's something
Yeah.
that, I mean,
Down
times
the
are
road.
changing and things are changing, so we need to look at our ordinances too, so that we can incorporate maybe something with this.
Well, the thing of it is insurance, as the people that do bring their goats in, they should have to have proof of insurance for these goats, because otherwise, if they would get out and wreck somebody's property, or, someone get in a car accident, you gotta have insurance. And I know that there's goat companies out there that, I'm sorry, we're a little more expensive, because we have to have insurance and things like, we make sure and take good care of our goats. But if you, I would think, my own personal opinion, I would think as a council members in the city of Prescott, that that should be one of the things that they should have to have. I mean, because otherwise, the liability, okay, so let's say I have the goats over at her house and I don't have insurance, and a goat gets out and gets on the road and kills somebody, they could come after her. They're gonna, of course, come after us, and we're gonna lose everything, and it would be a terrible, and the worst thing would be the life that was lost. But by having insurance, at least that takes care of that a little, how do I say it, so that it's right. You understand what I'm saying, but insurance is one of the big things.
Right, and so if you were going to move forward with this, then you should stop up here at City Hall and get them your proof of insurance and all that stuff and all your contact information.
Yep.
So then I think that
I would actually probably, contact the police department, let them know that these goats are here. So that
So he gets phone calls.
who do I call if they get out?
It's on every
Exactly,
side.
well, that's what it is. So that,
You call Mike. They're licensed and insured, and those goats are.
Well, and the key thing, and I'm sorry, we really do encourage you to adopt policy because we get phone calls, they're not our goats and they're out. This is our first year grazing with Goats on the Go, but there's a number of competent grazers in the area that would do a fine job. But there's also a handful of others that start and really are not prepared for some of the challenges. So I do encourage you to discuss it and to come up with a policy so that you can keep everyone safe and also make sure that it's done well in your community. So.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you very much.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Any other public comments?
I guess I get to be the goat that follows the goats. My name is Thomas Langenfeld. I'm taxpayer in Prescott for 50 years. Thank you. You may recall a few meetings ago I stopped back in and asked the council if they would consider or reconsider. By the way, I have two items I'd like to speak to you about, if I could, please. Regarding the tax assessments or the street assessments that were put on Henry Street along the property a couple of years ago, and it was turned down because it was indicated that there was nothing in the minutes of the meeting that would back up my statement that we were told.
Could you please speak up just a
Oh,
little
I'm
bit?
sorry.
Could you speak up just a little bit?
I sure
please?
can, Rob. Yes, I
Thank you.
can. I'm sorry. I'm always accused of speaking too loudly, so I don't want to be that way. I came in, I asked if you could, I would like to have been on the agenda for the evening so that I could present my case. I was told by Mr. Wolf that he and the mayor had discussed this and decided that I could not be on the agenda. So I have to speak to you in the open portion of the meeting. I'm not quite certain, sir, if you can act on anything that's said this evening on this open meeting. I'm not sure if you can. That's why I wanted to be on the agenda, to see if there could be a yay or a nay put on there. It's my understanding that during these open meetings, it's an informational meeting and that you cannot take any action. Is that correct?
That is correct.
That's what I thought. So that's one of the reasons why, excuse me, Council Lady, I asked to be put on the agenda so that I could present the information that I believe is necessary and is there, which would then overrule the previous meeting, because it's my contention that then Administrator Brand overlooked the obvious that is in the minutes, which indicated that we would not be assessed for curb and gutter on that street. So I'm confused now as to which way to proceed. Do you, could this, as I understand the charter of the city of Prescott, is a strong council, weak mayor system. That does not reflect individuals, it's just the way it's set up. So I'm asking, it appears that Mr. Wolf and the mayor are not going to allow me on the agenda to ask you or to give you my presentation. I'm asking you as council members, you can make that move. If you could put me on the agenda for the next meeting, I believe that I could show you in the minutes where I am correct and Ms. Brand was incorrect. Would one of you do that, please? Dara, I can't.
Well, and I'll
What's
be
the-
honest with you, Todd, when I spent 2 hours on
yeah.
a Sunday afternoon a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago, and I not only reviewed all of the meeting minutes that were presented to us via email, Rob ensured that we received all of the
Yeah.
information, so other council members should have taken the time. I also
Yep.
stated
Okay.
that we should all review the information.
Thank you.
I also watched the meeting again.
Yes.
And it was a long meeting, and there
Yes,
was
it
a
was.
lot of information from you.
Yes.
And I really went into it trying to be open-minded, Todd, because I really wanted to just refresh
Yes.
the information, and I did not see anything
Well-
in the meeting minutes or anything in the conversation. And so I'm being very honest.
You know,
If you
I can
wanna
show you,
invite
I can
me-
show you right now. But it won't do any good because you can't act on it. All I'm asking is for a fair shake. I'm asking to be put on the agenda so that I can show you in the minutes of the meeting, of those meetings, and what happened in those days, why I'm speaking the way that I'm speaking. I believe that you spent 2 hours. I'm sure it's a lot more time than Jane Brand spent on it,
All right.
going through them. You're
Okay,
asking
so
me?
Let me
You're asking-
interject here.
Yes.
We've had our city attorney read over this.
Yes.
And he finds nothing. That's why you're not being put on the agenda. You can say what you want, Todd, but everybody's reviewed it, and everybody comes up with the same thing, except for you.
Can
So
I
that
ask,
is why you're not getting that put on the agenda.
what are you afraid of,
I'm not afraid
Mr.
of
Mayor?
nothing.
Well, of course you
You
are,
have
because
nothing.
if you would let
You
me
don't
on
have
the
a case.
agenda, I would tell you.
You don't have a case, and.
You
so-
don't know that. You don't know-
Yes, I do. And
You
we're-
know, yeah, you should.
Okay.
I'm
we're all
asking
done.
any,
We're all done.
now you, see,
That's
see, what
it.
you know, you
It's
don't,
been reviewed by our attorney.
You don't
And if you
have-
want to have any more correspondence on that, that is where you're going to take it.
see, what happens now,
Todd,
Mr.
Mr.
Mayor,
Langenfeld, I said that is enough.
Mr. Mayor,
Do you need a?
Mr. Mayor,
do you
this is
need
an
anything?
open portion of the
But
meeting.
I said you're done.
You said I'm done.
I did, and I
Yeah.
can do that because this is my
Because
meeting.
it's your meeting.
It is.
It's not the council's meeting.
No, that's exactly right.
It's not the council's meeting?
If I could say something? I reviewed, at the suggestion of Dar, the same information. And I think you do have an alternative, but it's not in this room. I think your alternative is in Ellsworth, at the county courthouse.
I would second that. I agree. I also reviewed all the
Careful.
material. Oh, not
Careful
second.
with recommending.
I'm not seconding
alternative.
anything.
That needs to go through the city attorney.
Yes, I agree with that,
Okay.
Rob.
Okay, so you guys want to suggest things for Todd, you need to talk to Matt, and then he can send that on to the city attorney, please. You don't want to be anything out of line.
I don't want to speak loudly at all about this. But
We're done talking.
may I go to item number 2, Mr. Mayor, during the open session?
Number 2.
Thank you. You know, this community does not have listening sessions. None of you have listening sessions with taxpayers or with community people who would like to come and ask. No, I just making a comment. Okay.
Your next item.
My next item is that in relationship to this, 3 years later, I was informed by Ms. Brand that my properties along Orrin Road were no longer going to be considered fourplexes. That she was changing the address on that property from 2 separate addresses into one 8-plex address. And we got into an argument on that. And I told her she can't do that. She continued to do this. I brought information from the tax department. I brought information from the Register of Deeds. I have certified surveys showing that there were 4 parcels there, and she refused to accept them. I had to engage an attorney. I had to finally get a hold of Mayor Hovel, who in 15 minutes realized that Ms. Brand was wrong and I was correct. 15 minutes. This caused innumerable hardship, expense, but I have my four addresses now correct. Or do I? Because since that time, I filed a Freedom of Information Act with the city, on me in the city of Prescott. These are interesting things, ladies and gentlemen. You should read some of the remarks that are sent. And you should also try to find out that some of them are there, but they weren't sent. In those remarks, Ms. Brand stated that she was overruled by the mayor in a letter. I've got it there. In those remarks, she stated that everything was going her way until the mayor got mixed up in it. In those remarks, she indicated that she was only doing it her way because that's what the county treasurer wanted to have done. I checked with the treasurer. Treasurer said, we don't set addresses in Prescott. All we do is take the information that is sent to us. I checked with the assessors. And the assessors said, we don't set addresses in Prescott. All we do is get what the city sends us. Okay, that's fine. So I have an address of 1140 Pearl Street, Prescott, since 1985. It's a fourplex. Adjacent and adjoined to that is another address at 615 Orrin Road. That is a fourplex. Ms. Brand couldn't get it through her head that 1140 Pearl Street would be on the south side of Highway 10, and that there was two addresses in that building. And the certified surveys show it. And I tried to explain to her that it was given 1140 Pearl Street because in the beginning we owned land on the north side of Highway 10. Before the highway department came in and widened Highway 10 and confiscated the land across the street. And I had had that address for 15 years. Or not 15, it was 1985 until, when was the highway done again? I'm trying to remember, the late 90s. She would have nothing to do with it. Nothing. And when I finally tried to realize, to tell her that she doesn't know what she's doing, things got ugly. Now I want to tell you, she on her own, with the authority of the city of Prescott, by changing that address, had the potential to screw my kids out of $300,000 and my grandchildren out of $300,000. And I wasn't going to stand for that. And I won't stand for that. Now it has been straightened out. Or has it been? Because since that time, I've gone through the paperwork and I found out that the address situation hadn't been sent to the county correctly, and they had the addresses backwards. So I had to come up here with Matt Wolf and straighten it out again. And then, now I have to speak loudly now, I want you to hear this. So then I got my tax assessment. Now this is the fourth time. Guess what? The tax assessment had the incorrect legal descriptions on the property. And so I had to straighten that out. That's 4 times. $300,000 from my grandchildren. $300,000 from my grandchildren that she could have screwed them out of had I not stood up and fought this. And it's not right, Mr. Mayor. It's not right. And I can show you the paperwork, and I can show you the mathematics, and I can show you the financing, and I can show you how that was going to work. And I have letters in here. Let me read you one.
No.
What's the point? What's the point of
your story?
My point of the story is that I think that it's incompetence, and I think I would like to have it checked out again. And it all relates back to this first item that I'm trying to get across to you.
Well, you could bring that right up to Matt Wolf and take care of that at the window with Matt, and you wouldn't have to come here and preach to us about it, because we cannot do anything about that.
You are the mayor of the city of
I know
Prescott.
I am. You don't have to keep reminding me.
You're the
I am.
mayor of the city of
And
Prescott.
I'm telling you,
Yes.
you need to take that to the city administrator. That's what he's here
I've
for.
taken it to the city administrator, and the answer that I get is, go get a lawyer. Is that the way you want your city run? I ask you, council people, is that the way you want your city run? That if a person's getting screwed over by you guys, not you, but the city, you guys are in charge, and you stand up and you fight it, and you catch heck for it, and you have enormous expenses just to get back to where you were supposed to have been. That thing over there says everybody's going to be treated fair and equally. She sends a letter to the other person that she assigned the address to and says, oh, geez, we're sorry, the mayor overruled me. There's nothing I can do about it. If you had any expenses, please send us the bills, and the city of Prescott would gladly pay for it. I turn in bills that I had, and you know what they do? We're not paying that. We're not going to pay that. Take it and walk away. I bring it to you as a city council. Is that fair? It's not. And I bring that to your attention. Now, I would like to go back to the first thing I ask any of you. You have the right, as a city councilman, city council person, city council lady, gentleman, to ask that something be put on the agenda. I'm asking for a fair shake. I'm asking for a public hearing.
We've already discussed that, Todd, and we've moved on.
I
So,
believe,
okay. We're all done. Thank you.
I don't know what you're afraid of, Mr. Mayor. I don't know
I
what you're
already told
afraid
you
of.
once, I'm not afraid of anything.
I would like very much to
So,
speak with
we're
the
all done.
newspaper
Thank
about
you.
this. and this is over.
Anybody else have any public comments?
I gotta go back to work, you'll have to call me tomorrow.
I will.
Hello,
Hi.
my name is Robert Duffy. I live on 110 Court Street. Lived there for 3 years. Anyone else that's familiar with the area, that's the old Hintz place. I asked the people on the fire department how long it's going to be the old Hintz place, and they said probably forever, so get used to it. So that's where I'm from and what I am dealing with. So I came to you in front of you today. Thank you for your time. Appreciate that. To discuss the decision to remove the skate park. Okay, I found out from the plethora of information you can get on Facebook, Prescott word of mouth. If you're not familiar, check it out. You'll get all kinds of good stuff. But I did find this. So I have been in contact with Matt Wolf, and he gave me several different options to come talk to you guys. This was one of them. So if I'm wasting anyone's time, I apologize. If there's a better form, then I would be glad to do that. I just come in asking you guys to reconsider that. And I come for several reasons. Mr. Wolf cited vandalism and a deteriorating skate park and it not being in a very highly visible area. And I would agree with all of that. Okay. And for those of you, I know a couple of you were copied on this email, but for the rest of you and those of you in the audience, I'm just going to cite some of the things that I brought up to Mr. Wolf, if you don't mind. I fully understand the concern regarding the vandalism at the skate park. We've seen an increase of that throughout the city. I think everyone's seen it now. There's graffiti going up everywhere. Me living right across from Middle School Park, I see a whole lot of flipped over park benches. I pick up the trash cans probably 2 to 3 times a week from kids running by and knocking them over. So on and so forth, right? The porta potty's been tipped over a couple of times. one time drug down the street, right? This is all in front of my house. And all of these things kind of led to me getting cameras around my house, which I didn't want to do. We moved to Prescott because it was a quiet little community, and I wanted my kids to grow up in a safe environment, right? So that's my note to that. I think that there's a lot of reasons that this is happening. There's social issues. We've gone through a couple of tough years. The kids definitely have gone through a couple of tough years. There's mental health issues throughout the world. I'm not even going to go in this community, but throughout the world. And just lack of activities for some kids in Prescott. I'm not going to say all. There's a great sports program. I give kudos to everyone that's involved in that. My kids are involved in basketball, baseball, all of those things, right? But there are kids that don't fit into that mold. Right? There are kids that just don't fit into that team sport environment. Okay, myself being one of them when I was younger. I played baseball, but I found my outlet more in arts and skateboarding, snowboarding, things like that. I like to think I didn't turn out to be too bad of a guy, right? So there's hope for all of us. So a lot of what the issue is that I have is most of these kids that are drawn to those action sports are real high energy kids. They're artistic kids. Again, like I said, they don't fit real well into the mold of the team sport. And I think that they deserve options too, right? And better options than running around town creating havoc, right? So I'm not defending poor behavior by any means, right? I don't want to see it anymore. I'm on the fire department. Maybe I shouldn't bring that up here, but I've responded to the skate park and put out fires, right? I don't condone that. That's not acceptable. But these kids do need options, right? And we're seeing it through the city. So quite the opposite, really. That's why I'm here. I do believe that we have options, or there are alternatives that would be mutually beneficial to us as a community and the kids, right? Like I said before, I myself grew up, I enjoyed skateboarding, right? And we got kicked out of a lot of places because it's not allowed there. It's hard to find a place to skateboard where you can do that and it's allowed and it's not, for lack of a better term, disrupting the rest of the public. Because it is loud and you know, sometimes obnoxious, you know, but it is what it is. So with that being said, I guess I brought with you and I attached to my email a list of things that I think that could be positive, right? And I'd like to leave this with you. I don't want to go through them all here. I do ask if you guys would, please review these. I've attached references. There's all kinds of information online about the benefits of skateboarding and things like that. One of the things that I did attach, I'm pretty sure at the end, yep. So Skate the States, it's an article online of the 14 best skate parks in Wisconsin. I would like if you guys would please take the time and review that or look over that. A lot of them are not that far from us. A lot of them Lake Geneva area.
So can I jump in here really
Sure.
quick? So I'm the chair of Parks and Public Property, and I don't think anybody's saying that skate parks are a bad thing. No one's saying skate parks are a bad thing. I think just right now with the current condition of the one that we have, it's not ideal, one, to have it built out of what it is right now. Everyone that I used to go to was out of concrete.
Yes,
It was
correct.
also over in Hopkins, though, where it was like that place, so that's right underneath the bridge.
Yep.
I don't know if you know where that's at, but anyways. I don't think anybody's arguing that, and I don't think anyone's trying to take anything away, but right now it's just not a safe skate park
Yeah,
whatsoever
agreed.
in terms of the condition, not even like kids causing havoc. And I think like down the line, I think we all said like down the line, you know, if it comes up again where people really want to step up and start doing that kind of stuff, we could look at doing something concrete, but that's down the line. Right now, I don't have it in a parks plan, but if you want to come to the next parks meeting, we can definitely discuss different things.
Okay.
I know in terms of like outlet for that type of group, there is in McGee Park, we're gonna have a skills section for mountain biking, which I'm sure kids will want to do like BMX and that kind of stuff. Probably nothing to bounce off of, but they'll still have rollers and all that. But so I don't think anyone's trying to alienate those people or like not give them outlets. So, yeah, if you wanna come to the next board meeting on August 15th, you're more than welcome to. I don't think anybody's arguing. I did read your list, I did take a look at it. So it's just gonna be, how do we navigate that? How do we get it into a budget, you know? And
Yeah.
what does it actually cost to do something like that, you know?
Yeah.
So-
It can be a substantial cost. I looked
Yeah.
into some of the costs, and I understand that there's, you know, that has to be taken into consideration. But so do our kids, you know?
And I don't think, and again, I don't think anybody's arguing that, it's just we
Yeah.
have to do it the right way. We
Agreed.
can't bring
Agreed.
plywood back in.
Yep.
You know, and kids are getting
Agreed.
splinters and the nails are backing out, and it's just not a big deal. So, yeah, if you wanna come to the next meeting,
Okay.
you're more than welcome to.
Just to note, those 14 skate parks, all of them are concrete.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, they're all, yeah,
Can I leave
concrete's the way to go.
Is that okay?
Mayor,
What?
I have a question for Bailey about parks. The ferry park, is that going into where the soccer field is? Are we going to redo the soccer field in the next door lot then?
No, so they're basically getting that whole section of parks, so we talked to the soccer group, there's only one group
Oh,
that does soccer and it's little kids.
Uh-huh.
And it's through the community ed program, I believe. So we had talked to them about that and they were trying to get Bark over to do that.
so the whole park, that,
Eventually.
even that park, the one we bought last time, I mean later.
You're talking the one that's existing there, probably move it, I'm guessing. The big one that's there, the playground that's there right now.
Oh, so that'll go away and then the ferry park will take its place. Okay.
So I think
And
they're
what about the
planning on it.
field adjacent to that park, which we haven't developed yet?
They're-
That also will be ferry?
Yeah, so they basically are doing all these
Oh,
different
okay.
pods, so they're raising money to do all these different pods.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't clear and I got a question
Yep,
about it the
no
other
worries.
day.
Reel
But
it
yeah,
back in.
Yeah, if you would like to come to
If
the
you
next.
have any
board
questions
meeting,
for
more than welcome.
Mr. Duffy on the skate park,
Oh,
And thank you for presenting that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I think, I drove out there on numerous occasions just to see if there was any activity there, and to take a real look at it, and I mean, it definitely needs to come down, unfortunately. But it kind of enlightens me on maybe some different options too for our kids. And as we're looking at expanding the you know, trail and parks, this is something we need to take a long, hard look at for sure.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
thank you.
Mayor, I have another.
Go ahead.
Okay. I had a complaint about the boat launch traffic area on the weekends. So I just, as long as the chief is here, I thought I'd ask him if there was, have you seen any problematic behavior as people, I mean, it's related to big boats and small cars, you know, being towed, and that the traffic is moving too fast for some of that sharp corner down there, and they almost got hit, the person who called me.
Where are they talking about?
Is
Where?
it by Mary Pat's house? Like where
That's
it's
right
turning.
there.
So it's like right
Oh,
by Mary
that
Pat,
corner?
they turn, there's parking, that's slanted parking, so as
Yeah.
they're backing out and the car doesn't see around that car even.
Yeah,
I haven't heard anything. Nobody said
Okay.
anything to us, but it's not
yeah.
something that we don't, I mean, we
Well,
can
it
look
might
at
have been
it.
just one incident, but they called me, so I thought I'd ask if there were other problems coming to people's attention.
No, the only problems that we're having down there right now are just the congestion from the construction. That's all we've been
Yeah,
told about.
okay.
Any other public comment?
Right.
Go ahead, Pat.
I was asked by someone in my neighborhood, which is so everyone's aware, the St. Croix Bluffs neighborhood behind Casco and the fireworks. The ravine behind Canton and between River Terrace, where they come together, the ravine that starts there that rolls through the back of those properties is being eaten away by the water flow in there, and it's starting to cut into people's yards. And one of the residents there mentioned that at some point previously, they were told that it's private property and there's nothing the city can do. And I don't know the validity of that to it or not, so.
Did you direct your concerns to Matt?
Not yet.
Okay.
No,
Because
this
that's
was-
where you want to start.
Okay,
It is
Okay.
private property, I owned property in that neighborhood, and we did own into the ravine.
Mike?
okay.
We went and looked at that, and there is starting to be an issue, but a lot of it's caused from the homeowners, putting bridges over it, fences across it, throwing grass clippings in there, which is forcing the water in other directions. And I said, we'll go in there and clean it up, but not till we're done with the sidewalk. And then they said, we'll clean it up, we're spraying it, and then they're gonna maintain it.
They should get the goats in that gully.
Actually, they can just sit there and panic.
I don't know, the goats fix a lot of things. I don't know if they can do this.
They actually do, they actually level out because of the trails that they walk.
Any other public comment?
Motion to adjourn.
Second that.
Never mind.
We didn't get to other business.
Oh, yeah, hold on.
Does anybody have any other business? Okay,
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
we have a motion, a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually dig it.